Isabella always smiled in public. Perfect grades. Perfect photos. Perfect life. But 3 days before her 23rd birthday, her closest friend received a voicemail that changed everything. Isabella was crying. Terrified. Whispering one sentence over and over again. "He finally found me." And then the line went dead. But nobody knew who she meant. The strange part: Isabella didn't have enemies. At least, that's what everyone believed. She volunteered at shelters, inspired thousands online, and preached one message every single day: be the best version of you. People trusted her voice like it was therapy. But behind that motivational smile, something darker was hiding. And the clues were everywhere. Her apartment looked untouched when police arrived. Coffee still warm. Laptop still open. Music softly playing in the background. Yet Isabella herself had vanished without a trace. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. Almost like she willingly walked into the dark. But one detail immediately terrified investigators. Her bedroom mirror was shattered from the inside. Before we go deeper into Isabella's disturbing disappearance, take 1 second to like the video, subscribe, and share this story with someone who loves mysteries. Because the deeper this investigation went, the more impossible it became to explain. And trust me, what happened next shocked even the detectives. Detective Ryan Keller had investigated missing persons for nearly 15 years. But Isabella's case felt different from the start. Her social media posts were still uploading automatically after she disappeared. Smiling selfies. Positive captions. Scheduled perfectly. Was someone pretending she was still alive? Or had Isabella planned this herself? That question haunted everyone involved. Then investigators discovered a hidden folder buried deep inside Isabella's laptop. The folder contained dozens of audio recordings labeled only by dates. Some were ordinary journal entries. Others sounded like panic attacks. But one recording stopped the entire investigation cold. Isabella whispered, "If I disappear, it means he knows the truth." But who was he really? Friends described Isabella as ambitious but emotionally exhausted. She barely slept. She constantly checked over her shoulder in public. Some claimed she'd become paranoid during the final months before vanishing. Others believed she was being stalked. But there was one person nobody could fully explain. A man named Gabriel who appeared in her life 6 months earlier. Gabriel was charming, intelligent, and strangely private. No social media presence. No real photos online. Even his job history seemed impossible to verify. Yet Isabella became obsessed with him almost instantly. According to her closest friends, she said Gabriel understood her darkness. But what exactly did that mean? That's where the story became truly disturbing. 1 week before Isabella disappeared, security footage captured her arguing violently with Gabriel outside a downtown restaurant. Witnesses heard Isabella shouting, "You lied about everything." Then Gabriel leaned close and whispered something into her ear. Seconds later, Isabella froze completely. Her face drained of color. And then she quietly walked away beside him. Like she'd seen a ghost. Detectives tried locating Gabriel immediately. But every address connected to him was fake. Every phone number disconnected. Even his driver's license appeared fraudulent. It was as if the man never existed at all. So who had Isabella really been dating? And why did it feel like someone was erasing him piece by piece? That mystery only deepened. Then came the first major twist. Isabella's voicemail wasn't sent the night she vanished. Digital analysts confirmed it had actually been recorded nearly 2 months earlier. Which meant Isabella knew danger was coming long before anyone realized. Was she planning an escape? Or preparing for something much worse? The answer was buried inside a forgotten storage unit. Inside that storage unit, detectives found photographs covering the walls from floor to ceiling. Thousands of images. Most showed Isabella herself in public places. Grocery stores. Coffee shops. Parking garages. Someone had been following her for years. But then investigators noticed something horrifying. Many of the photos were taken before Isabella became famous online. Before anyone even knew her name. Who could stalk someone that long without being noticed? That question consumed Detective Keller. But another detail disturbed him even more. In dozens of the photographs, a shadowy figure appeared reflected in windows behind Isabella. Always distant. Always watching. And in every single photo, the figure wore the same black gloves. Forensic teams searched the storage unit carefully. No fingerprints. No DNA. Almost surgically clean. But hidden beneath a loose floorboard, investigators uncovered a handwritten letter addressed directly to Isabella. The message contained only 6 chilling words: "You were never supposed to remember me." And suddenly, everything changed. Detective Keller reopened Isabella's childhood records. What he discovered made absolutely no sense. At age 11, Isabella survived a devastating house fire that killed both her parents. The official report blamed faulty wiring. Case closed. But buried deep inside archived interviews, young Isabella repeatedly mentioned the man with gloves. Why had nobody investigated further? Even stranger, Isabella stopped mentioning the mysterious man entirely after months of therapy. Almost like the memory disappeared overnight. Doctors believed trauma caused confusion. But Keller wasn't convinced. He began suspecting someone had manipulated Isabella's memories for years. And if that was true, what else had been hidden from her? Then came another shocking discovery. Gabriel's face triggered a match inside an old police database. His real name wasn't Gabriel at all. It was Daniel Voss, a former psychology researcher connected to illegal memory experiments nearly a decade earlier. The project was shut down after multiple participants vanished mysteriously. But Daniel himself disappeared before authorities could arrest him. Why would a fugitive psychologist target Isabella? Keller dug deeper into Daniel's past and uncovered classified documents suggesting Daniel believed traumatic memories could be erased and rewritten entirely. According to former colleagues, he became obsessed with creating better versions of people. Suddenly, Isabella's motivational slogan sounded far more sinister. But the worst revelation was still ahead. Keller eventually located a retired nurse connected to Daniel's research program. At first she refused to speak. Terrified. Shaking uncontrollably. But after hours of questioning, she finally admitted something horrifying. Isabella had once been part of Daniel's experiments as a child survivor after the fire. Her memories weren't naturally fading. They had been deliberately altered. That revelation changed the entire case overnight. Isabella hadn't simply disappeared. She had been running from a buried truth her mind was never supposed to uncover. But why return to Daniel years later willingly? Was she searching for answers? Or had Daniel manipulated her all over again? Detective Keller realized the truth might be even darker than murder. Then the second major twist exploded across the investigation. Isabella's fingerprints were discovered inside Daniel's abandoned research facility hidden outside the city. But there was something impossible about the evidence. The fingerprints were fresh, less than 24 hours old. Which meant Isabella might still be alive. And someone wanted Keller to find her. The facility itself looked frozen in time. Dust-covered monitors. Rusted medical chairs. Hallways lined with old security cameras. Yet electricity was somehow still running underground. Keller and his team carefully searched room by room until they discovered dozens of videotapes labeled with patient numbers. One tape was marked only with Isabella's birth date. And nobody was prepared for what it contained. The footage showed young Isabella sitting inside a dimly lit room, crying while Daniel spoke calmly beside her. "Pain makes people weak," he told her softly. "But if we remove the pain, we create perfection." Isabella begged to go home. Then Daniel asked her one terrifying question. "Would you rather remember the fire, or forget your parents completely?" Keller watched the tape in stunned silence. Was Daniel responsible for the fire itself? Or had he simply exploited Isabella afterward? Before detectives could continue reviewing the footage, every light inside the facility suddenly shut off. Emergency alarms screamed through the hallways. Then a distorted voice echoed from hidden speakers. She remembers everything now. Panic spread instantly. Officers rushed toward the exits, but electronic locks sealed every door automatically. Someone was controlling the building remotely. Then Keller's phone buzzed with an incoming video message. Isabella appeared on the screen alive, but different somehow. Pale, emotionless, and staring directly into the camera. Then she whispered, "You were never supposed to find me." The message ended with GPS coordinates leading deep into the surrounding forest. Keller immediately organized a search team. Rain hammered the ground as they pushed through the darkness for hours. Then flashlights revealed a small cabin hidden between trees. Smoke drifted slowly from the chimney. Someone was inside. But nobody expected who opened the door. It was Isabella herself. Alive. Calm. Smiling faintly. She welcomed Keller inside as if nothing strange had happened. No fear. No panic. But the cabin walls were covered with handwritten notes repeating the same sentence endlessly: "The truth destroys people." Keller asked where Daniel was. Isabella stared silently for several seconds before answering. "Closer than you think." That's when the third major twist shattered everything investigators believed. Isabella revealed Daniel Voss had been dead for nearly 4 years. Authorities later confirmed the truth. A body matching Daniel's DNA had indeed been recovered years earlier under a false identity. So if Daniel was dead, then who had Isabella been meeting recently? And who orchestrated the entire nightmare? Keller noticed something disturbing during their conversation. Isabella occasionally switched tones mid-sentence, almost like two personalities were fighting for control. One moment terrified, the next cold and calculated. Then she finally confessed something impossible. "Daniel didn't erase my memories," she whispered. "He created new ones." Keller suddenly realized the danger sitting directly across from him. According to Isabella, years of experimentation fractured her identity completely. Daniel trained her mind to compartmentalize trauma into separate personalities. One personality carried pain. Another carried fear. And one personality carried violence. Keller's pulse quickened as Isabella slowly revealed a locked metal box beneath the cabin floorboards. But opening it would change everything forever. Inside the box were newspaper clippings tied to multiple unsolved disappearances spanning nearly 6 years. Every victim had one thing in common. They were former researchers connected to Daniel's experiments. Someone had been hunting them systematically. Keller looked at Isabella in horror. Was she exposing a conspiracy, or confessing to murder? Her next words sent chills down his spine. "I wanted to become the best version of myself," Isabella said quietly. "But every time I got closer, another part of me woke up." Tears filled her eyes as she described blackouts, missing time, and waking beside blood-stained clothes she couldn't explain. Was Isabella a victim of psychological abuse? Or something far more dangerous? Keller still couldn't tell. Then Isabella handed Keller a final videotape labeled "Only If I Remember." She begged him not to watch it unless absolutely necessary. But before Keller could respond, headlights suddenly appeared outside the cabin. Multiple vehicles surrounded the property silently. Men dressed in black tactical gear emerged from the woods. And Isabella's terrified reaction revealed one horrifying truth. She recognized them. Gunshots exploded through the windows without warning. Keller dragged Isabella to the floor as bullets tore through the cabin walls. Who were these attackers? Federal agents? Mercenaries? Survivors from Daniel's program? Nobody knew. But the men outside weren't trying to arrest Isabella. They were trying to erase her permanently. And time was running out. Keller and Isabella escaped through a hidden trapdoor leading into underground tunnels beneath the cabin. The tunnels connected to abandoned emergency bunkers from decades earlier. As they ran through darkness, Isabella suddenly stopped at a steel door marked Archive Room. Her breathing became unstable. "Everything started here," she whispered. Then she opened the door slowly. And Keller froze instantly. The room contained hundreds of files documenting psychological experiments on children from traumatic backgrounds. Names. Photos. Behavioral evaluations. Isabella wasn't the only subject. There were dozens. Maybe more. Some files ended abruptly with the word terminated stamped across them. Others contained surveillance photos taken years after the experiment supposedly ended. Someone had continued the program secretly all along. Keller searched desperately for evidence exposing whoever funded the operation. Then he discovered a familiar name inside the documents. His own. Detective Ryan Keller. His blood ran cold. According to the file, Keller's father had once worked directly alongside Daniel Voss. Why had his family connection been hidden all these years? And what else didn't Keller remember? Suddenly fragmented childhood memories slammed into Keller's mind. Hospital hallways. Men in gloves. A crying little girl sitting beside him. Isabella. They had known each other as children. Somehow both connected to Daniel's experiments. Keller staggered backward in disbelief. Had their entire reunion been manipulated from the beginning? Isabella looked at him sadly, like she already knew the answer. Then the final revelation emerged. Isabella confessed she contacted Keller intentionally after recovering suppressed memories months earlier. She trusted nobody else. But she also feared something terrifying. During her blackouts, another personality inside her had been communicating with the surviving members of the experiment. Planning something massive. Something irreversible. And tonight, it was finally beginning. Emergency sirens echoed above the tunnels as explosions shook the ground violently. Isabella handed Keller the videotape and whispered, "If I lose control, don't let me leave alive." Then she disappeared deeper into the underground facility before he could stop her. Keller stared at the tape trembling in his hands, because somewhere inside those tunnels, the real Isabella might already be gone. Keller finally played the videotape alone inside the archive room. The footage showed Isabella speaking directly to the camera weeks earlier. Calm. Focused. Almost frighteningly clear-minded. "If you're watching this," she said softly, "it means the version of me you trusted is disappearing." Then she revealed a coded list of names connected to powerful officials funding Daniel's experiments. The conspiracy reached far beyond one scientist. Politicians. Medical executives. Law enforcement officials. According to Isabella, the experiments never truly ended because the results were considered successful. They believed trauma could create controllable human behavior. Keller realized exposing the truth could destroy countless careers overnight. But then Isabella said something even more horrifying. "They're listening right now." Suddenly the bunker speakers crackled alive again. A calm male voice filled the tunnels. "Ryan, you were always meant to protect her." Keller recognized the voice instantly from old tapes. Daniel Voss. Impossible. Dead men weren't supposed to speak. But the voice continued explaining that Daniel preserved his consciousness through experimental behavioral conditioning inside selected subjects, including Isabella. Was Daniel truly alive psychologically inside Isabella's fractured mind? Or was someone weaponizing his teachings to manipulate her? Keller raced deeper into the tunnels searching desperately for answers. Then he discovered a massive underground chamber filled with computer servers still running. At the center stood Isabella motionless before glowing monitors, while armed men surrounded her silently. One of the men stepped forward slowly and addressed Keller by name. He wasn't a stranger. He was Keller's own police captain. The betrayal hit like a gunshot. The captain calmly admitted the department helped bury Daniel's research for years. Isabella wasn't supposed to survive long enough to remember the truth. But now, she had become dangerous. Keller drew his weapon instantly, but Isabella screamed for him to stop. Her voice kept shifting unpredictably between panic and icy calm. Then she revealed the final nightmare. The personalities inside her weren't random psychological fractures anymore. Daniel had conditioned them to activate under specific triggers. One trigger had already been activated tonight. And nobody knew what it would unleash. The captain ordered his men forward, but suddenly the bunker lights exploded into darkness again. Screams echoed through the chamber. Gunfire erupted wildly. Keller could barely see anything. Then emergency lights flickered red across the room, revealing bodies collapsing one after another. Standing in the center of the chaos was Isabella, holding a weapon with trembling hands. When silence finally returned, Isabella looked completely broken. "I tried to fight it," she whispered through tears. Keller approached cautiously, unsure whether she needed protection or restraint. Then Isabella dropped the weapon and handed Keller a flash drive containing every hidden file from the experiments. "Expose all of them," she begged, "before they create someone worse than me." Authorities later reported the underground facility destroyed in a catastrophic fire. Most evidence vanished overnight. Several officials connected to the case resigned mysteriously within days. And Isabella herself. She disappeared once again before investigators could place her into custody. Some believe she died in the explosion. Others think she escaped intentionally. But Keller received one final message months later. The message arrived from an untraceable account at exactly 3:17 a.m. Only one sentence appeared on the screen. "I finally became the best version of myself." Attached beneath the message was a recent photograph of Isabella standing beside an unknown little girl wearing black gloves. Was Isabella saving children now, or beginning the cycle all over again? No one knows the truth.